what is it that you are really desiring anyway? Why do you want what you want? It's a question worth considering. Why do you want what you want? In every case, it's the same answer, but you often don't realize it. You want everything that you want because you think you'll feel better in the having it. So what you really want is to feel better, yes? What you really want is to feel good. And then you just have all kinds of justifications for it, excuses for it, really justifications for it. Do you think it's possible to feel good just because you want to? Do you think it's necessary to just hold it to that? Or do you think it's nice that the universe will fill in around your desire? In other words, it will give you all of the delicious details. Which is better? An idea? An idea in motion? An idea that's filling in? An idea that is coming to fruition? An idea that has come to fruition? An idea that is going to manifest in terms of fleshing out all the way? An idea that is manifesting? An idea that has manifested? In other words, how do you decide? Most humans, you're not that excited about it until it has happened, and then you're not that excited about it. Esther would say to Jerry, "Oh, that's a beautiful car. I think you should get that for me. It would make me happy for the afternoon." Because sometimes just going and getting something doesn't have much filler in it. It doesn't have much go power in it. It doesn't have much alignment power in it. And so there is a conversation that a lot of people have about, well, what's it all about, Alfie? What is it all about? In other words, why are you here? What is desire about? And, well, we'll just tell you. What it's really about is you are an eternal being who wants to express fully here and now. But that takes a little explaining, doesn't it? Because here you are in this physical body, but there's a larger part of you that is focused from the non-physical perspective. Humans call it soul or source or even God. But what you really want is full presence of all of that here and now. That's what you really want. So you're just looking for excuse. You know how when you have a conversation with someone and it's really ringing your bells and you're just flying high and you're both brilliant and your timing is really good and you can feel your clarity and you can feel their clarity and you can feel the synergism between you and you can feel the new ideas that are being born and you can feel the expansion even as it's happening and you can feel the fun and the fullness and the eagerness of it. You feel that passion and that robustness. You just feel so alive. What's happening in that moment is you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and the whole of you is present in the moment. In other words, you're not pinching off this larger part of who you are. You're allowing your fullness here in the now. That's what you want. And everything that you strive for in terms of relationships or goals or accomplishments or achievements, every single thing that you or anyone ever has or ever is or ever will strive for, it's for that moment. It's for that moment of being fully present. Now the source within you is always right there for you. Source is never holding back. It's not that we're unaware of you or that we're not focused upon you or that we're not interested in what you're saying, doing, thinking, being, having, realizing, experiencing right here and now. Because the source within you is in on all of that. But you have these layers of filters that you apply that sort of mute your experience. And in the muting, you think source is just not there for you. And it's that you're not there for you because you're on a different wavelength. And so you're sort of masking the moment. And in the process of doing it, wanting a better moment, often wanting it to be better, but going about it in a "we love you very much" screwy way. going about in a way that, well, if I could just do. Esther said this morning to her sister Jeannie, they were having breakfast, and Esther said, I'm really better at this unconditional love when the conditions are right. Because it is so easy to have a knee-jerk response, and it's so easy to be a really good observer and have knee-jerk response, but then you're letting the what is control your response, and your response is your vibration, and your vibration is your point of attraction. So what is perpetuates what is, perpetuates what is, perpetuates what is, perpetuates what is, and that's not deliberate creation. That's creating by default. But most of the world is really wanting the condition, whatever it is, on whatever the subject is, to be a good condition so that I can have a good response to the condition. And it's backwards. It's backwards. It's backwards. It's backwards. What you want to do is conjure, and we use that word because we are really witches. We use the word conjure, meaning create, meaning visualize, meaning imagine. You're wanting to conjure the response which will then elicit the response from the larger universe. In other words, once you are understanding that your frequency, your vibrational frequency, is your point of attraction, and your point of attraction then rounds up all of the details, now it's not backwards anymore. You create the vibrational ambiance, and the vibrational ambiance then fills in with things that match it. So if you've been listening to us for a while, and many of you have, aren't you sick of it? Esther is. If I hear one more person tell me that I create my own reality, I'm just going to deck them. Because while you do want that creative control of creating your own reality, and you do mostly really like knowing that you're always in the driver's seat and that things are responding to you, still, you've got to sort that out, because things are responding to you, but you are responding to things. And you've got to decide, which is it? Am I a responder to things, or are things responding to me? Am I responding to conditions, or conditions responding to my vibration? Because you can't have it both ways. Well, you can have it both ways, but it's quite a rough ride. So when you finally get it into perspective that conditions are responding to you, that everything is responding to you, and that you can control what you're putting out and therefore what you're getting back, then it starts to be really, really fun, because everything will give you the evidence of it. Everything lets you know how well you're doing on that subject. There's one piece that we want to give you right up front here, and you know it. We just want to remind you, because when we say to you, you are the creator of your own experience, because you are the conjurer of your own emotion, you are the conjurer of your own point of attraction. And since you are the conjurer, the creator of your own point of attraction, you are the creator of your own reality. As we say that to you, you're taking it very well. And then we want to say, we want to just add this one piece, because if you factor this piece in, then it makes the discomfort in that earlier statement go away right away. And that is, wherever you are and whatever's going on is not only all right, it's perfect, because it is your point of attraction from which you are moving toward whatever you're wanting. And we want you to understand. In fact, it's impossible for us to understand that you don't understand. It's just the screwiest thing in the world that so many of you don't get it, that where you are is all right, because it's the beginning of where you're going. And no matter how uncomfortable or comfortable where you are is, it has caused you to broadcast a vibrational pathway that will absolutely unfold for you if you will stop doing that thing you do that keeps you off that path. And that one thing you do that keeps you off that path is looking at what is instead of at that path. That's all. You have let what is become more dominant than you ever intended to. And so people talk about be present in the now. But when they say that, we know that it is not an accurate or beneficial point of view to observe everything in your now. That's not what living in the now is. Living in the now is letting the source of you, the whole of you, the big part of you, the unconditional lover of you, the pure positive energy part of you, be present in your now. Present in your now. How are you going to let the source within you be present in your now? Now, that needs a little clarification. Source is always present in your now. So maybe a better question is, how are you going to let yourself know it? How are you going to let yourself know that the source within you is present in your now? Well, you got to tune to the frequency of it, which means you got to be on the same wavelength of that, which means you've got to feel good. When you're feeling good, that means the source within you is known by you to be present in your now. Now let's be clear. Are we being clear? The source within you is always present in your now. The only question is, do you know it? And if you're mad at somebody, you're not knowing it. So, Abraham, how does this work? You're present in my now. You're focused with me here and now. The energy that creates worlds is available to me and pouring through me. And if I'm angry, then what does that mean? Well, it means you're depriving yourself of the clarity that Source has right now. You're depriving yourself of the joy that Source has right now. You're depriving yourself of the thriving the Source is right now. In other words, you're pinching yourself off by some knee-jerk reaction to what is. Well, how do I not do that? Well, you can't help but do it initially because you're here to sift through contrast. In other words, if you don't know what you don't want, you cannot know what you do want. It's just you want to get onto the what you do want quickly. An analogy that we've been offering recently, truly a brilliant analogy, is you do not go to the new car dealer or the new car manufacturer and say, I want you to create a special car for me. And I want you to remove the windshield from the front and put it in the floorboards. Because I'm infinitely aware of where I am at all times. I'm not interested in where I'm going. I only want to know what is. So I'm just going to look down, not out. And of course, that seems ridiculous because even in that simple analogy, you know, you need to be forward looking. You need to be looking where you're going, because where you are in that sense is irrelevant. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say when you're driving your vehicle that where you are is the least of your concern? Isn't it? Do you ever even put your head out the window and look down? It isn't pleasant, even if you're going really slow. It isn't pleasant. It isn't pleasant. It isn't practical. It isn't of any value to look where you are. Why? Because where you are is irrelevant. Where you're going is where everything is. Wouldn't you agree to that? So if you can accept that brilliant concept, and then you add to it your understanding that here in this sifting through the variety of your life experience, you're constantly knowing what you want. Preferences are born within you all day, every day. You can't have a conversation with anyone. You can't eat a meal. You can't look around. You can't cease preferring. You can't cease preferring improvement. You can't cease preferring more than what is, because your eternal orientation is this never-ending expansion. When you accept that you are eternal, that means you've accepted that you are forever. It means that, and that must mean that you have accepted that you are expanding, because you can't stand still. Nothing does. So when you couple our brilliant analogy of looking forward rather than down through the floorboards of your car, and you begin to take this broad view of this eternal being that you are, then if you can incorporate this understanding to acknowledge that what is always, only, ever the bouncing off place for more, but it's not just that. It's that all of the joy and all of the exhilaration is looking toward what's coming. Now, it's really, 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 really fun when you get oriented and pointed in the direction of what you've become. And we want to tell you why. Because this larger part of you who remains non-physically focused is holding steadily the vibrations that you have been incrementally providing. In other words, the larger part of you remains non-physically focused while this part that you know as you is here. But this important part that you know is here, as you in this personality, sifting through the contrast, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want. If you don't want it a little, you'd want it a little. If you really don't want it, you really want it. In other words, this contrast serving all of you, all of us perfectly. So these desires are moving forward, and the larger part of you is becoming the vibrational essence of that desire, and then projecting that new knowledge, that new understanding, that new, here's the word, beingness, right back to you. Which means when you want it, source is it and reflects it to you. That's what that instant manifestation is that you've been talking about. You want it, source is it, reflects it back to you. But the question is, when source is reflecting it back to you, where are you? Where are you? And you say, well, I'm doing my part, Abraham. I'm doing the part that I think I was sent here to do. I'm sifting through the contrast. I'm sifting through the contrast. I'm sifting through the contrast. And whoop-de-doo, I launched a rocket and you rode it, but I'm still justifying the rocket. I'm still explaining to everyone why I want that, because I hate this. And we say, that's that thing you do. You get hung up on the contrast. You don't use the contrast in quite the way you intended. You intended to know what you want and then go with the flow of it. And when you go with the flow of what you want, so that you are vibrationally up to speed with the source within you, now as source reflects back through you, you're right there in the perfect vibrational stance to receive the fullness of what you have asked for, and now you have instant manifestation. So what do we mean by an instant manifestation? We mean you have instantly adjusted your vibration upward to allow the complete incorporation into what you've asked for, and now your point of attraction matches your desire. And what happens when your point of attraction matches your desire? Everything that comes to you must reflect that vibrational essence. It's law. It has to be. And if it isn't happening that way, it's because of what we just demonstrated to you. You're hung up on explaining why you want that, but you're not a match to the that you want. You're a match to the why you don't want the thing that caused you to launch the thing that you want. That was really good. You're not a match to the what you want. You're a match to the reason that you wanted it, but the reason that you want it is because you don't have it. And when you're a match to the reason that you don't have it, you're a match to the absence of it. And when you're a match to the absence of it, you can't have it, and that's why you don't feel good, and that's why you don't allow the fullness of who you are, who has it and is it and bees it, to be right there with you now. You've got it pinched off because you're a match to the absence of it and to the instead of to the having of it. Couldn't be clearer, could it? Couldn't be clearer. Doesn't that just make perfect sense to you? Aren't you really wanting to be a vibrational match to what you're wanting? So then, does it not occur to you, if this is true, and it is, everything that you or anyone has ever wanted or ever will want, you want it because you believe you will feel better in the having of it, then must it not be true that if you are able to feel good in the not having of it, that then it must come?